Hello, I'm Grady Mathews, and we're going to have a little fun with one pocket. Assisting me is my good friend Eddie Fields. Eddie, if you'll rack them up, we'll go right to the break. The standard recognized method of breaking the balls is to place the cue ball 2 or 3 inches from the side rail, and then you strike the first and second balls evenly with inside English. The idea being to put the cue ball up on the side rail and snookering the opponent behind a cluster of balls. That's a very good break, the way it came out. That's the general idea of what we want to do. Eddie, if you'll rack them again, I'll show you a different method of breaking the balls. Okay, I'm going to strike the side rail first, then the side of the rack, and I hope to achieve the same general effect as I did when I broke them the first time. The only difference is I'm going rail first this time, which on some tables will help the cue ball to keep from scratching. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. Now, one more method of kicking the balls to break them. This time, I'm going to take the opposite pocket, which is the right-hand pocket from where I'm breaking, and I'm going to kick the balls, hitting the cue ball just past the side pocket with right-hand English. And I hope to stick the cue ball on the rack and also move some balls towards my pocket. That's also a good break. That's a very good result. Now that we have discussed 2 or 3 methods of breaking the balls, I would like to go to some of the things that a player can do to get out of the break. Now, what I'm doing here is throwing some balls up at random, and as you can see, my opponent, this hypothetically of course, has just broken the balls, and he has really put me in trouble. The only place on the table that I can get him safe is to get the cue ball over here. So what I'm going to try to do is put it there by hitting the 12 ball with high English, and if you'll watch, the cue ball will kind of do the dipsy doodle and hopefully end up behind these balls. That's one recognized manner of getting out of a real good break. Now, there are several offensive shots that may arise after your opponent has broken the balls. Very common is what many players refer to as a split shot. Here's one example of a split shot. What I'm going to do here, since I have no way to get out of the break by removing balls from his hole, I'm going to play the 12 ball right here by hitting the 15 first. And I'm going to use outside English. Now, after I make this 12, the cue ball should go down in this direction, and I might even get safe if I were to miss the 12. But I don't think I'm going to miss the 12. The next method, and this is a shot which arises all the time, is a billiard shot, where you play one ball off of another ball. Now, for those who may be watching this that don't know much about this type of shot, I'd like to mention that whatever English is put on the cue ball, the opposite English goes on the object ball. Now, in this case, I'm going to play the 11 ball off of the 14. This is a good method for getting out of your opponent's break. And as you can see, many times you will get good position on that because of the going through effect of the object ball. The next shot I'm going to show you is a very knowledgeable shot, and it comes up quite often. This time my opponent has left me a dead ball, but I cannot make it in my pocket because I'm going to throw the 9 off. So the only way that I can make this ball is to make a real thin hit on the 9 ball with the 10 ball. I'm actually going to pretend that the 10 ball is a cue ball, and by cutting the 9 as thin as I can and striking the shot very hard, I should be able to pocket the 9 ball. And again, many times you'll get position on this type of shot. Next is a shot that comes up from different angles all the time, not only at one pocket but at other pool games. This time I have no real good safety, no offensive shot, assuming this is my pocket. So what I'm going to do is hit this 4 ball first and then the 15, and I'm going to have left-hand English on the ball, and the cue ball is going to hit here, and then it's going to spin down behind his balls. As you can see, that's an excellent shot, especially if you were to happen to have a couple of balls over on your side of the table. This next shot is a shot that I'm proud to have invented, and it comes up all the time at one pocket. This is my opponent's pocket, and I'm in a lot of trouble. I have no way to play safe. So what I'm going to do is go through the 9 ball with an elevated cue stick, left-hand English. I'm going to go to this rail and between the balls. Okay, another variation of 2 balls close together, where this is his pocket. This is a legal shot. I'm going to play to put the cue ball right between his 2 balls. A more difficult version of the same shot is when the balls come up and they happen to be laying like this. Now, I'm going to play safe here, but as you can see, I have to get the cue ball between these 2 balls. And that's how that's done. Anytime people get together and talk about one pocket shots, this is one that they always want to see. I'm going to play the 1 ball over here with a double kiss shot. Now, I'm going to shoot a bank shot right close to the pocket, but it's on the long rail. I'm going to bank this ball over here without scratching. This is a legal bank shot. That shot also comes up quite often, playing one pocket. Okay, another shot that comes up quite often playing one pocket is what I like to think of as an English bank. Here, as you can see, I'm snookered behind all of these balls. This is my opponent's hole, but I can run out if I can bank this 4. And I call it an English bank because the bank will not go. I need to put right-hand English on this 4 ball. I'm going to bank it right back here. That shot comes up all the time playing one pocket. This shot, for many years when it came up in a game, whoever had the shot would play the 11 ball, but that's a much more difficult shot than the one I'm going to show you now. I'm going to play the 14, and it's a very easy shot. It's a billiard shot. I'm going to go rail first with right-hand English. I'm going to hit the 11, which moves the 14 out a little bit, and then the cue ball is going to strike the 14, and I'm going to pocket it. That's also a valuable shot playing straight pool. Here's another shot that comes up in all pool games. I'm off angle here, and I don't have a reasonable shot to pocket this 3, so I'm going to kiss it in the hole by hitting the cue ball with a follow-through stroke and shooting softly. That also is a legal shot. What I'm going to show you now is one of the more flashy shots playing one pocket, but it can win or lose a game or a match. I'm going to bank this 9 ball straight back here in the corner and jump over these balls for position. As you can see, that could also be a valuable shot playing one pocket. This next shot that I'm going to shoot could also be a valuable shot. I have exaggerated this particular example, but the important part is to grasp the concept, the principle of it. What I'm going to do here is pocket the 11 ball, strike the side rail, and make the cue ball curve around for position on these balls. Like I said, the concept on that particular shot is the important thing. It comes up from all different angles, playing all the pool games. For this next shot, we'll forget these balls and use our imagination, and we'll say that these are the only 2 balls left on the table, and we need both of them. So what I'm going to do, I can't shoot this 11 ball because I can't keep from hitting the 4, and it's too hard a shot to go all the way around the table, and too low a percentage to get position on the 4, even if I make it. So what I'm going to do is shoot the 4, and I'm going to masse the cue ball and make it come straight back for position on the 11. That shot also comes up from many different angles. I'll show you another one right here. And I've made this about as difficult as I could. Here, I'm straight in on the 3 ball, and I'm jacked up over the 1. I don't have a good angle to go rail first, but I need more than just the 3, so I'm going to masse the ball and make it come straight out and play position on these balls. That's a good shot. This next shot could arise in a game where you need both of the balls. You need both balls. And most people, when they look at this, would have a tendency to 2-rail the 14. This is our hole right here. But there is a way to play both balls. And what I'm going to do here is hit the 14 into the rail. I'm going to catch the back side of the 11, which brings the 11 towards the pocket. And the 14, after it hits the 11, is going to go to the side rail, and it also is going to go towards my pocket. As you can see, many times you'll make one of those and go ahead and run out and win the game. Here's the same principle from a little different angle. This time, this is our hole. I'm going to try to move both balls towards the hole by hitting the 14 right up here between the 11 and the rail. That type of shot is good aggressive one pocket. Now, I'm going to show you some takeout shots, which you'll need to know to play good one pocket. If this is your opponent's hole, and he needs one, obviously you don't want to give it to him, so the only thing you can do is take the ball out of the hole. This is done by hitting the ball first, right into the facing, with low outside English, which in this case would be left-hand English. That shot cannot be successfully done if the cue ball is more than about 3 inches off of the rail. If the cue ball is more than 3 inches off of the rail, you can do the same shot, but this time you need to go rail first and hit it right into the facing with a high ball. As you can see, I took the ball out, but I sold out. I forgot to mention that on this type of shot, you have no assurance of where the object ball is going or the cue ball. A little different angle of a takeout is where the ball will come up like this, and you're left on the rail. You can't shoot this hard because there's no way to achieve any degree of control. But there is a nice, easy way to take this ball out. I'm going to shoot easy and cut the ball to my right with left-hand English, and I'm going to double kiss it out of the hole. That shot also works quite well from the end rail. This next shot is a very valuable shot if you understand the concept of it. I have the 11 aimed straight in the corner, but that's his pocket. So I want to make the 11 over here. So what I'm going to do is bank it, and I'm going to put quite a bit of right-hand English on the 11. By throwing it, I'm going to cut to 14 this direction, which puts right-hand English on the 11. And also, I'm going to put right-hand English on the cue ball, which puts left-hand English on the 14, which puts a little more right-hand English on the 11. A very good drill for playing one pocket is to practice this type of shot. Many times your opponent will have a ball hung up in his hole, but you can win the game if you're able to bank this ball here. And I have it set at an angle which comes up quite often. You should practice that if you aspire to play good one pocket until you can make that almost every time. Okay, this time, this is my opponent's hole, and I'm going to kick the 10 ball towards my hole, and the cue ball, after it hits a 10, is going to have English on it, running English, and it's going to hit the rail, and then it's going to come up about the direction of the 2 ball. I'm going to have him safe, even if I don't make the 10 ball. Many times you will make it and win the game. Now, if balls are like this, you could take the same shot And instead of going one rail, you play the cue ball 2 rails, then the object ball. Now the cue ball will go a direction roughly towards this 7 ball. So as you can see, that will win a lot of games. Here's another kick shot. This time I'm going to kick the 6 towards my hole here, and I'm going to play the cue ball to go behind the 5 and 15. All of these kick shots, incidentally, the important thing is to play the cue ball rather than the object ball. Now here's a good example of what I was talking about. This time I'm going to kick the 15 for here, but instead of playing to get behind the 5, which I can't do, I don't have a good angle for that, I'm going to play the cue ball to come into the stack. As you can see, I came close to making the 15, and it was a free shot. Sometimes you'll be faced with a situation like this. This is my opponent's pocket, and I have no offensive shot. I would be very happy if I could just give him the 15. So what I'm going to do is shoot a shot that requires shortening up the cue ball, and it's a very easy shot once you understand the principle. I'm going to hit the cue ball down here with low right-hand English, and it's going to shorten up and make this 15. That shot also comes up from many different angles. Lengthways, it's a little flashier shot, but it also comes up with amazing regularity. This time, my opponent has left me like this. This is my pocket. I can't see enough of the end rail to go one rail. I can't come across this way because the 6 and 13 are in the way. So I'm going to kick behind the 2 and 5 ball, and again I'm going to shorten it up with low right English. You're a little unlucky if you scratch. Now, if 2 balls are on the spot and the cue ball ends up around this vicinity, it doesn't have to be exact. Playing any pool game, you can make this bottom ball by playing a billiard off of the head ball. And it's kind of a nip shot, you might say. I'm going to use outside English. That's a perfectly legal shot, and it can also be played in reverse, playing the ball in the side pocket. I'd like to say something about the mental processes that are involved in one pocket. To begin with, any time a man is ahead in one pocket by 2 or more balls, he begins to try to move the balls up to the other end of the table. Now, the idea is that when you are ahead in the game, you can afford to make 2 or 3 mistakes and possibly still win the game, provided the balls are up at the other end. Now, if I were ahead in a game and the balls were down here like this, let's say I'm ahead 6-3, if I play safe back and forth with my opponent and he beats me to the shot, it's just like playing even. In fact, he could even have the best of it. Now, one pocket is an intriguing game in the respect that you must ask yourself many questions. Before every shot, what am I playing for? What is the score? What are the odds of my missing this ball? How am I going to leave it if I miss? And one of the most important things in the game, what is my opponent going to do if I leave him here? Sometimes the answer to that question may be something that you don't want him to do, so you might select a shot that's not quite as good, but a little safer. Now, what separates the mediocre player from the great player at one pocket is that the great player sees every possibility. For instance, in a game of one pocket, if this were my pocket, I could bank this one and hit these balls and put the cue ball here. I could try to make the one ball and play the cue ball in this vicinity and hopefully try to bank the 12 or hide him behind these balls the next shot. Or I could shoot the right shot, the winning shot, which is to bank the one into these balls and play the cue ball here and behind these balls. Now, as it happened, I made the one, but you can see where the cue ball is. I'm going to lock him up, put him in jail the next shot. Now, that shot was one in which I had to go through the object ball. I'll show you a little more difficult version of the same shot. This time, I have no reasonable shot for my pocket, so what I'm going to do is bank this 12 ball, and I'm going to play the cue ball to go right behind the 5. And even if I don't make anything, my opponent's going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, if you look this particular layout over, you'll see that there's no place on the table that he can leave me where I won't have a shot the next time. This next shot comes up occasionally playing one pocket, and it's a little known shot. And what I'm going to do is play this 12 ball in the corner by drawing the cue ball off of the 14, and I'm going to try to make the cue ball hit the 12 ball 3 or 4 times. That shot comes up in all the pool games. This next shot is one that I invented for this particular situation. If I one-rail this ball for my hole, which is here, I might kiss the ball or I might sell out. So there's a way to play this shot without taking any chance of kissing the ball. I'm going to play this 13 ball in this pocket, 3 cushions. You can see I have the cue ball up at the other end. This next shot is one that a great player named Jersey Red invented, and it's a terrific one-pocket shot. What I'm going to do is play the 11 ball in this pocket off of the 2 ball and the 7 ball. And it's also a position shot. I forgot to add that at the beginning. Occasionally, in one pocket, you'll have a shot where 2 balls are on the spot and you're behind them at this end of the table. When that happens, you can make this head ball in either pocket, assuming the cue ball is not way over on either side. In this case, I'm going to play it in this corner, the 1 ball. That shot can also be made from the other end of the table. Okay, a lot of times in one pocket, after a safety battle, you'll be left with something similar to this shot. Now, I don't have a good shot for my pocket, which is here, so what I'm going to do is three-rail this 2-ball, and I'm going to hope to hit around this 8 and 9 ball, and maybe I'll scrape something in my pocket. But the cue ball, I'm going to play it to come over here with English and play a billiard on these 2 balls. As you can see, I have my opponent safe. Another method of shooting the same shot from just a slightly different angle. This time, I'm going to three-rail the 2-ball, and I'm going to play the cue ball 4 cushions around the table and try to put my opponent behind these balls. Okay, I didn't make the 2-ball, but I took a shot at my pocket, and many times a shot of that nature will actually go in the hole. Okay, there's all kinds of different 2-ball shots, and sometimes more than 2 balls, where you can move any number of balls towards your hole. In this case, this is my pocket, and what I'm going to do is 2-rail the 6-ball, 1 rail, 2 rails towards my pocket. The cue ball, after it hits the 6, is going to hit the 1, and I'm going to try to bank it 1 rail. Now, I didn't make anything, but as you can see, I have them both in play around my pocket. This is a funny-looking little shot that comes up all the time. This is my pocket. This time, I'm going to play the 6 to hit the rail, come off the deuce, and over towards my pocket, and I'm going to play the cue ball behind these balls. As you can see, I have position. That's a good game-winning shot. A lot of times in a game, you'll have plenty of balls around your pocket, but no shot at any of them. And you'll be snookered on balls by your opponent's hole, but you'll oftentimes have a good kick shot when they lay something like this. What I'm going to do is kick the cue ball and hit inside the 1, and the cue ball should end up down in this vicinity here, and I turn the tables, or reverse the stakes, so to speak. As you can see, I've turned the game completely around there. I'm going to show you 3 high ball shots, which come up all the time in one pocket. And to play good one pocket, you'll need all 3 of these shots. The first is in a situation where your opponent has left you with the cue ball over here on the side rail and the stack in the middle of the table like this. Now, this shot, what I'm going to do is bank the 8-ball into the stack, but I don't want to draw the ball because I don't get quite the action that I want, and I might catch a point or something. What I would like to do is make the cue ball stop right there about where the 8 is, and I'm going to do that with a high ball. Many times you'll scrape something off in your hole and win the game with that shot. This next shot is roughly the same shot. I'm going to kill the cue ball on the rail here and hit the 7-ball right into the stack. Now, as you can see, I got some balls over by my hole, and this was kind of sneaky on me. I did this on purpose because if you'll recall what I said about doing the most that you can do with a shot is what separates the great players from the mediocre players. I'll show you happily a better way to play this shot. This time, I'm going to hit the 3 into the stack, and I'm going to try to make this cue ball die right behind these balls. This time I have my opponent where he can't hit any of these balls. That's a much better shot. Sometimes in a game you'll be forced to give your opponent a ball. When that happens, you do so reluctantly but gracefully, but occasionally you can do something else with the shot, as in this type of example I have set up here. This is my pocket, and I'm going to give my opponent the 4-ball, but I would like, if it's at all possible, to hide him from as many balls as possible. So what I'm going to do is play to corner hook him behind this corner, and the only balls he'll be able to hit is this 12-ball and this 7-ball. Now, the only 2 balls he can hit is the 12-ball and the 7-ball. This next shot, I invented this shot after watching a billiard tape that my friend Tom Collins has. And had I not watched that billiard tape, I would never have come up with this shot. I can't wait for it to come up in a game. The situation is like this. My pocket is right here, and my opponent has left me like this. This is his pocket. Now what I am going to do, since I have no reasonable shot on any of these balls, my banks are blocked, I'm going to 3-rail this 7-ball into these balls, and I'm going to try to make this cue ball come straight out here, draw back into the rail, and play a billiard on these balls. As you can see, I've got him in jail. I'm going to close with a very unusual shot, and I'm not going to make a ball, but I think you'll like this effect. Here's the situation. My opponent's pocket is right here, and I have no reasonable safety and no shot. So what I'm going to do is play safe by playing a billiard in this general area right here of the 13 and 14, but not the kind of billiard that you might first think. I'm going to make the 12-ball. When I'm done shooting, of course, it would go on the spot. And I'm going to play the cue ball to go 1 rail, 2, 3, and right over here by these balls. In case that ever comes up in a game, you'll know what to do. I'd like to leave you with a thought today, but before doing so, I'd like to thank Eddie Fields for his assistance, and Jim and Bonnie Parker. They've got a beautiful facility here, the Illinois Billiard Club. And I thank Tom Collins and Peggy, with whom I've worked here today. And the thought that I would like to leave you with is this: many people have enjoyed success. Many people have plenty of money. You can have too much of both, but you can never play too much one pocket. Thank you.